All right, that's what I'm heading out into. There's a mountain up there that you can't see, and that's what I'm climbing today. Yeah, it's already almost 9:30. I keep delaying leaving here. It was wonderful. Beth was wonderful, very accommodating, very sweet. And now I have to go out into this rain, and the radar picture looks pretty bad. It's supposed to rain like well into the afternoon. I almost missed that because I had my head down and my umbrella was blocking it. Cool. Well, I could see some of the mountain ahead of me that I have to climb. Not sure if that's encouraging or discouraging. I have to remember that when I'm out in the open, like on a windy ridge or a saddle, the wind grabs the umbrella like a sail. All right, so that shelter there, not my final destination for the day, but I pulled in there to have lunch under a dry roof, and actually stayed there for 2 hours while the rain finished up. Radar said it was going to end around 2 o'clock, and it was basically accurate. It's around 2 right now, and I'm heading out. I've got another 6 miles to do today. Look at that. Blueberry season will be here before we know it. So I thought that I was the only one crazy enough to be out in that rain. I hadn't seen another hiker all morning going either direction. But then when I left the shelter, there was another hiker walking into the shelter. I felt so bad. He was drenched to the skin. Looked like he had just stepped out of the shower with all of his clothing on. So, yeah, he was going to go and try to dry some stuff off. There is a shelter about a mile ahead. That would make for a slightly over 10-mile day. Not bad considering I didn't get started until 9:30, and I spent 2 hours waiting out some of the rain at the other shelter back there. I would like to go a little farther than that, but it's already 20 after 5, and from here the shelter is mostly uphill. So that may be as far as I get today. We'll see. Albino rhododendron. Alright, this is the Wilson Creek shelter. I'm gonna make myself some dinner. That dry patch right there was where I had my tent set up. Good morning. Right, I am just leaving the Wilson Creek shelter. Today, the trail pops in and out along the Blue Ridge Parkway quite a lot. I think I cross it a good number of times. So probably overlooks and views and things like that. So my goal for today is to do about 13.8 miles. Cove Mountain Shelter, maybe? Anyway, that's what I'm aiming for. We'll see how I do. Things are still kind of wet and damp out here, and it's still overcast, but at the moment it's not raining, so that's a good thing. A bit of sun trying to burn off the clouds. That would be amazing. Right now, my toes are cold. It's in the 40s, but the biggest issue for my feet right now is that, no surprise, my socks did not dry out overnight. And so I put wet socks back on this morning. Now, I do have another pair of socks, a pair of dry socks. However, my shoes didn't dry out either, even though I pulled the inserts and tried to encourage some airflow, but they were still wet this morning, so there's no point in putting on dry socks and then sticking them in wet shoes. They'll be wet in 30 seconds. So I'll save the dry socks for camp tonight with my Crocs. And I'm hiking in wet socks today. So hopefully that sun will burn off the clouds, and maybe at some point today I'll be able to pull into a sunny overlook and maybe even dry out my shoes a little bit, or my socks, my ankle braces. All of it's all wet. So maybe I can lay them in the sun to dry for a little bit this afternoon. So the trail is running along the Blue Ridge Parkway basically, and it keeps coming out onto these overlooks. This one's the Montvale Overlook. You can see the view behind me. And there's also a picnic table here, so I'm sitting and having a snack. And over there's a garbage pail, so I can get rid of my garbage. So when the trail pops out, it's these overlooks. I've been kind of walking beyond the overlooks, and because there's more overlooks, you could walk across the street from the overlook and find more views. It's also beautiful in the sun today, and I really needed some warm sun on me to lift my spirits after the rain yesterday and everything being damp this morning. So there are a couple of places where we popped out onto the road, and I just stayed on the road for a little more between a couple of the overlooks. The trail is beside the road, but there have been a couple of places where I've actually stayed on the road. There have been hawks circling over my head because they seem to be where the road is. That and the sun, it's just what I needed today. I love the Blue Ridge Parkway. We drove it once when the boys were young as part of a vacation. Gregory's got trail magic. I'm sitting at one of the overlooks and a couple pulled in and they gave me a bottle of water and an apple. Rats. I just found the first tick of the season. He wasn't embedded or anything. I just sort of flung him off, but that's why I keep checking. Guess it's time to be more liberal with insect repellent. That's the shelter I was aiming for today. I'm going to go a little farther, another, maybe 3 miles. There's some tent sites. That's my home for the night. I'm making my dinner. Got a stream right here. Good morning. It's about 20 after 6. I'm all packed up and I'm headed out. I want to do about 14 miles today, and there's a thunderstorm coming in later this afternoon. Last time I checked, about 5, but I don't have service down here, so I can't check until I get up on the mountain. My goal is to get to camp and be all settled in and hunkered down before the thunderstorm hits. All right, so the majority of today is climbing. Right now I'm in the middle of the biggest, longest of the climbs. And this middle section is steeper than the lower section before it. I haven't done a whole lot of filming because I'm too busy trying to haul myself up this hill. Yeah, a lot of uphill today. All right, this is making me crazy. Yesterday I found my first tick on me, and today the trail has me walking through all this tall grass. Yeah, I did put on more bug spray, but I feel like I'm checking myself for ticks every 5 minutes. All right, I made it to the top of my biggest climb for today. Not my only climb. There's been more, there are more. There's a shelter about half a mile ahead. I'll probably stop there and have some lunch. People ask me when I talk about backpacking and hiking, aren't you afraid of bears? Aren't you afraid of snakes? Nope, I'm afraid of ticks. The last thing I want is to end up with any of the tick-borne illnesses. I reapplied permethrin to my clothing. That's the insect repellent shield. Just a couple of days ago in Daleville. And I have Picardin for my skin, which I'm now starting to use. I've also been trying to use my poles to push some of the tall grass out of the way. It's not really helping. I tried stepping on it to push it to the side. That's not really helping. So my best option is a good thorough tick check. It's been raining, so I really haven't filmed a whole lot. Got the Thunderhill shelter up ahead. I'm gonna stop there and maybe stay there. We'll see. This is gonna be my home for the night. Wow, I'm glad I'm in here tonight. All right, I'm heading out this morning. It's about 6:45. It's really cold. It's about 40 degrees. I was a little chilly in my sleeping bag last night. Not horrible, but a little chilly. This is the first morning since I started in Georgia that I actually snoozed the alarm. Usually I'm up before the alarm and I just turn the alarm off. But I didn't want to get out of my quilt this morning. Everything is all wet this morning. It rained 3 times yesterday. It rained at 2 o'clock, it rained at 5 o'clock, and it rained at like 9 o'clock. Very windy today. Yesterday, I was climbing one of the steep hills through tall grass and worrying about ticks. Today, on this hill, there's poison ivy all over the sides of the trail. So I'm being very careful where I step. Because I don't really want poison ivy either. Matt's Creek shelter, and that was Matt's Creek. was actually thinking of continuing on and camping near Matt's Creek at the tenting boundary, just before you get into the James River footbridge. But I called Stanimals. They have a bunk for tonight, so I am going to head in there tonight. Wow. That was an owl, a great big owl. And he just sort of took off and swooped and went over into the forest over there. I don't think I've ever seen an owl flying around like that. He's walking along the James River. Crossing the James River footbridge. Yeah, I've kind of taken over. That's going to be my bunk.